I'm Amy Goodman with Nermeen Sheikh.
We end today's show in Boston, where authorities are hunting for clues behind Monday's bombings at the marathon that killed 3 people and injured 176. According to the Boston Globe, 70 victims remained in Boston hospitals Tuesday night, including 24 in critical condition. FBI officials say the 2 bombs were probably built from 6-liter pressure cookers filled with nails and small ball bearings. The bombs were then hidden in bags left on the ground. No one has claimed responsibility for the attack. On Tuesday, President Obama described the bombing as, quote, an act of terror.
This was a heinous and cowardly act, and given what we now know about what took place, the FBI is investigating it as an act of terrorism. Anytime bombs are used to target innocent civilians, it is an act of terror.
Meanwhile, more information is coming out about the victims in Monday's bombing. The first was to be identified was 8-year-old Martin Richard. He died in the blast. His sister lost her leg. Their mother suffered a brain injury. On Tuesday, a photo was published online showing Martin Richard holding a sign that read, "No more hurting people, peace." And outside his house, there is a chalked word, peace, that he drew this weekend. The second fatality was identified on Tuesday as 29-year-old Crystal Campbell, a restaurant worker. The third casualty was identified as Lu Lingzi, a Chinese national attending graduate school at Boston University. We're going now to Boston, where we're joined by Steve Brown. He's anchor and reporter at WBUR in Boston, where he's joining us from. He's been covering the Boston Marathon bombings. Can you tell us the latest, Steve, what you think is most significant right now in your city of Boston?
Well, we're in the transition stage right now between the initial shock and the horror of what happened on Monday, trying to get back to some semblance of normalcy here in Boston. I was walking around town yesterday, and you could sense that change going on. So we're in a process of healing right now, and that'll be going on, and we'll probably come to a peak tomorrow when the president comes to town for an interfaith service that's going to be held at the Cathedral of the Holy Cross here in Boston.
Can you explain, Steve Brown, what the situation is on the ground in Boston? And have you been speaking to survivors of the attack as well?
Well, I've heard from some folks. I haven't spoken to any victims per se, but on the ground, the area of the finish line remains sealed off. That's on a main street, Boylston Street in Boston, right in the heart of the Back Bay, right in the heart of the city of Boston. So that area remains a active crime scene. Police commissioner said it's the largest crime scene in the history of the Boston Police Department. So they're still working that. They're still looking for every clue. And so that's going to be sealed off for a few days at least. So that's going on right now at the crime scene.
Steve, you were there when the runners were picking up their medals?
I was. I went down to the area yesterday, and there were still some folks who, because there was such chaos at the end of the race, there was still thousands of runners that were still coming into Kenmore Square and towards the finish line when this happened, and they were held up for a while. A lot of confusion as to where to go. Some people just went home, and they had to collect their belongings. And so they went to an area in the Back Bay where they got their belongings, and they were presented a medal for completing the marathon, something that they would have got on Monday at the finish line. But instead, it was a bittersweet experience. I was watching folks getting their stuff, getting their medal, and they worked hard at running the race and everything, but it just didn't have that value. Having that medal, it just was not the same feeling.
And the significance of who died. I mean, you have Martin Richard, 8 years old, his family so hard hit, his mother with brain injuries, his sister lost her leg. Can you talk about also what is known about the bomb at this point?
Well, as far as the bomb is concerned, we were told yesterday that it, as you just reported, made out of the container was a pressure cooker. I've been seeing reports today that they've found, I haven't been able to confirm this, but that a lid was found on a roof of a building of one of these devices. So the FBI is collecting all those pieces and fragments and shards and are going to be shipping them to the FBI lab in Quantico, Virginia, and they'll try to piece it back together, hopefully finding a clue.
During Tuesday's press conference, Massachusetts Governor Deval Patrick cautioned against making any assumptions about who may have carried out the attack.
These are times when all kinds of forces sometimes conspire to make people start to think of categories of people in sometimes uncharitable ways. This community will recover and will heal if we turn to each other rather than on each other. And one of the things that we'll emphasize at the Interfaith Service and that we want to emphasize by our example every day is that we are one community, as the mayor said. We are all in this together, and the sensitivity we show to each other as we heal will be an important part of how we heal.
Massachusetts Governor Deval Patrick.
Steve Brown, can you comment on what he said and whether there has been much speculation in Boston about the perpetrators?
There's always a buzz, unofficial stuff on Twitter and everything, but the investigators are keeping this very, very close to the vest, not indicating any particular one group. They want to get the facts and the evidence first before jumping to any conclusions.
Steve Brown, I want to thank you for being with us, anchor and reporter at WBUR in Boston, where he's reporting to us from now. He's been covering the Boston Marathon bombings. And thanks so much for watching this report from Democracy Now!, your daily independent global news hour. We don't accept advertising or corporate funding, but rather rely on donations from viewers like you. Please make your contribution by visiting democracynow.org. We need your support today to keep bringing you this hard-hitting, in-depth reporting.